be able to make it. So I don't want to be hard on them, but for the powers that be, I meant to mention this when the speaker was here because frankly speaking, the diaspora desk of Parliament of Uganda has been the most supportive in terms of making sure that they are part of this. And why I like the Parliament, because at least the people's voices get heard and you hear from the representatives and on what is right and what is wrong or what could be changed, because they're the legislators, they can influence policy. And that's where we want to go with everything that we're doing. But without further ado, I just wanted to, in a special way, before Solomon comes back, to recognize Mr. Moses Mawa and his wife. Thank you so much for Silver Media being able to produce our magazine. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for that couple. They produced our publication, and I really was happy with the quality of work they put out. I also want to recognize Dr. Opio Lawyer, who is one of the superintendents of schools here in Ontario. Why don't you stand up for recognition? He will be talking about the value of education in a minute. Again, I hope we'll be able to fit everybody in. We have the CEO of Centenary Bank talking about diaspora accounts or diaspora, banking, if you're interested in that. We do have Dr. Geoffrey Samaganda, all the way from the United Kingdom, Action Wealth. Please stand up for recognition as well. He's one gentleman who, if you hear him speak, he's made a lot of investments in Canada as well as UK. So those are some of the people you'll be seeing. All of them are in this magazine. So if you have had a chance to look at the magazine, definitely some of these people are here. And in a special way, I have a friend. I'm sure many of you 2 years ago watched the movie Queen of Katwe. Robert Katende is a personal friend. He flew all the way from Uganda to support me and to support this event. I asked him to come and talk about the use of chess in solving problems, problem-solving skills, because his movie, what you don't know is that once it was discovered by ESPN and what he did in Fiona Mutesi, it just went viral, and he's been one of those success stories. He's had a chance to meet people like Bill and Melinda Gates, dined at their house, and he's an influence and someone who I feel we're proud to learn and to hear from, and we're looking forward to hear from you. Why don't you stand up and at least people know? Ladies and gentlemen, we want to make sure that by the time you leave, you've connected with some of these people. Everybody here brings a special unit to the table. In a special way, Dr. James Lutaya brought us two very interesting individuals who will be talking about migration by citizenship. If you have your money and you want to get citizenship in one of the islands, that is something that we encourage you. We have two able lawyers here who are going to be talking about migrating to Canada. If you are in a process or want to do that, bring your kids or stuff like that. We have people present here to talk about that. And then last but not least, many of you need national IDs. A team from National ID Authority, basically NERA, is here. We have the chairperson. We know that she's somewhere here. I don't think I see her, but I know that they will be coming to talk about national IDs and how you can actually get what in our language we call Ndagamuntu, because that has become more powerful, the way we use driver's licenses here, than passports back home. So if you don't have a national ID, you can't do much business in Uganda. And the table has been set up for that reason. And I hope that we shall be able to make use of them, because they flew all the way from Uganda. Again, courtesy of the speaker, we had also reached out to her to make sure that we have the citizenship people as well as the national ID people present at this particular breakfast. So there is a lot I could say. There's a lot that is going to be taking place, and there's a lot of people that are in this place. I just don't want to make this a monologue. I'm just prolonging this because I was told the speaker was coming in shortly. I think, Solomon, if you're somewhere, my desire is for us to move this, because as a person who has moderated presidential debates back home, I feel that in the interest of time, we need to get this program off, or the ship has to start sailing, because there are very valuable presentations that people have prepared, and they came all the way, and some flew all the way from Vancouver and the different places to be part of this event. I feel we need to get going. We also have Diaspora Television present. Mr. Watson, thank you so much. They broadcast for the diaspora on social media, and they're always online. So we welcome and recognize Mr. Alan Watson in a special way. Mr. Kalunji is our sound engineer. This gentleman flew all the way from Boston to come and be a part of this event. We recognize you and your talents, and we thank you for making the trip. So once again, if you don't have a ticket for the boat, the tickets are going to be on the outside. There's a boat cruise this evening. We have lots and lots of entertainment. Great sunset cruise to see the city of Toronto from the boat. So it's most of the pictures you see and the pictures you see on the cover are taken from Center Island. So basically, I encourage you to go to the boat cruise to see what Toronto has to offer. The breakfast is on this side. If you really need something, it's a self-help, self-serve. Just go outside here, get something. If you came in late, there's a registration table for those who need to register for tomorrow's dinner. Lots, again, of entertainment. Irene Namoviru, Eddie Away, and a host of other Canadian entertainers are going to be in the house to help us get going. Solomon, is there anything I've left out? Because I wasn't planning on speaking or saying anything. But please, thank you to our sponsors, Gumax. Mr. Kalisa, if you're here, in a special way, we recognize Gumax. There is a gentleman who has established a business, and since it's business, I'll talk about it. He sells what you'd call, most of his items are frozen and then, sold in different places. It's called Gumax International. They have a stall here with samosas, which are very interesting, but the big thing for us is that his products have been accepted in places like Costco, and which is one of the biggest retailers in the US. He's here, represented by one of his partners. So again, reach out to some of these stalls. You'll find very interesting individuals who have really succeeded and done very well. So Solomon, I wasn't supposed to preach or say anything like that, but the idea was to buy time for the people coming in. I'm still wondering why they're not here, but I think we need to start because of the interest of time.
Well, I think it wasn't just because of buying time, but we needed to hear from you. Let's give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely. Ronnie, thank you very much. Ronnie is one of the organizers for this event. He works extra hard to make sure that it happens. So the issue of coming to Canada, as all of us know, has been a very big challenge. Applying for a Canadian visa from Uganda is not an easy... All right. Looks like the Speaker of Parliament is coming through. So as and when she makes it here, we will welcome her. So I was still telling you that the issue of coming into Canada is not very easy for Ugandans. So you have to apply for a visa all through to Dar es Salaam, wait for about 21 working days to get a response, and then come over here. So sometimes they deny it, sometimes they give it to you. So it can be very, very challenging, especially also what do you do when you come here? How do you get a job? How do you settle in? How do you even manage to start a business here? How do you get past the red tape? I mean, every country has red tape anyway, but how do you get to settle in? With us, we have Dr. James Rutter, who is a senior partner or managing partner for that case. I've been told that there's a difference between managing partner and senior partner. He's the managing partner of James Associates. And he's been dealing so much with, citizenship, migration or immigrants, and
which is one of the biggest global immigration firms and which has designed most of these programs he's going to talk about. And prior to that, he worked in sales and marketing for high-end real estate projects and has a wide range of experience promoting ski, gold and sand destinations. He has been involved with projects throughout the world, including Canada, US, Caribbean, and Southeast Asia and Europe. Before John comes to speak to you about citizenship by investment, you'll be listening to Elena Geselev, and she'll be talking about Canadian investment programs. Those are also going to be very important for people who want to invest in Canada. And briefly, Elena is a licensed Canadian immigration consultant since 2008. She has previously worked with the federal government in several departments, including Immigration and Refugee Board, and Environment Canada. Transport Canada, Pacific Council as well are some of the departments Elena has worked in. So Elena is going to mainly speak in areas of expertise, which include Canadian investment programs. She's going to talk about other business immigration categories that you might be interested in. So to begin off, I'm going to call Elena to talk about Canadian investment programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. Thank you very much. Elena, as you take to the pulpit, we want to recognize the arrival of the Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga, who is currently inspecting the different stalls. When the Speaker comes in, we will all stand up in honor of her and officially welcome her to this convention. We'll then also officially start. You know, I've been told that you can only start when the guest of honor has arrived. So we'll officially start. But for now, what I can say is, Elena, why don't you start your presentation as we wait for the speaker?
Thank you, Solomon, and thank you, James, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Good morning. How is everyone doing? It is my great pleasure being here with you at this event. I arrived from Vancouver, and I wonder how many people here from Toronto. Can you raise your hands? Okay, Torontonians. Okay, great. Today I'll be talking to you about business immigration options, and I'll cover three most popular investment programs in Canada. One would be the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, because we are in this wonderful province. I'll also talk about British Columbia Provincial Nominee Program, and this is where I'm from. And the last program I'll talk about is Quebec Immigrant Investor Program. This is one of the most popular programs in Canada as well. So I'll begin with Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, business class. So there are two main options for business investors. One is corporate stream, and the other one is the entrepreneur stream. Corporate stream. Too bad I don't have the visual presentation for you, but I'll try to make it as entertaining and comprehensive as possible. So the corporate stream is designed for established international corporations looking to expand into Ontario or buy an existing business. What it has as a privilege is you would be able to bring up to 5 key staff as part of your business expansion. And they would be eligible for permanent residence, for first nomination under the nominee program, and then potentially for permanent residence. The 5 key staff must be in a senior executive or management position or specialized knowledge. So they must be essential to your business. What are the investment requirements? What's the main eligibility criteria? So a minimum investment of $5 million is required to expand into Ontario or purchase an existing business in the province. The business idea must be of significant importance, okay, and benefit, economic benefit to Ontario. So you have to convince the province that it is going to benefit the economy of this province. You also have to commit to create five new jobs for Canadians or permanent residents. Okay, so this is the commitment to the province under this particular stream. Residence and language requirement. So all nominees must demonstrate English language skills, and that has to be at CLB4 or higher, which is about lower intermediate level. One important factor is you and your key staff must reside in Ontario for at least 75% of the time that you're implementing your business idea, okay, or you running and expanding an existing business. It's very important to note because a lot of people tend to think, oh, I can just come to Canada, establish my business, and then I can travel back and forth and do my business back home. This is not the case because all provinces are mandated by the federal government to run active investment type of programs. It cannot be passive investment. You absolutely have to be involved in the management of your business on a daily basis. It's basically day-to-day activities. So 75% of the time, that's about 9 months out of a year. Okay, it's clear? So what's the process? Nowadays, all applications are managed online, which is a great thing. So you first apply online using the e-filing portal under the Ontario nominee program. The application fee is $3,500 per key staff. You must attend a mandatory interview. So when you propose your business idea, your application is accepted and you would be invited for an interview, and they would want to hear what is it that you want to do, and they want to be convinced that it's a genuine type of proposal. You would be required to sign a performance agreement outlining the commitments made to invest and create jobs in the province. So it's a formal agreement between yourself and the...
Sorry, Elena, let me just cut you short a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the Speaker of Parliament of Uganda, the Right Honourable Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga. Honourable Kadaga, welcome. Welcome to the convention. Thank you so much, Honorable Kadaga, for coming. I am alive, hanging on a thread. Thank you so much for coming, Honorables, the Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get the convention officially started. Let's all stand up for a word of prayer. Now that the guest of honor has come. Let's start a word of prayer from Pastor. Come and lead us before the presence of God.
In the same attitude of prayer, I will start with the word our chairman ended with when he was giving his message, and that was the word of gratitude. I'm very grateful for the work and the spirit in which this work has been done. So I'm inviting you to just join in this moment as we thank God for what He has allowed our eyes to witness here in Toronto. This is a new thing, and I believe in even bigger things to come. Dear Heavenly God, we pause this moment just to express how grateful we are. Grateful for those things that we even sometimes forget to count, like the gift of life that every single one of us here has. God, I thank you for every man and woman who has gathered here. I thank you for their lives. I thank you for what they have brought here. I thank you for the spirit in which they are gathered here. Father, I pray that everything that will happen here or the plans, or the thoughts, or the intentions, even the action that will come out of it will be done unto the glory of your name. God, I bring all these intentions into your mighty, able hands. The plans, the businesses, the ideas, I place them in your hands, and I pray that your presence will be with us throughout this event. God, I also declare and pray for peace for our nation, Uganda. I pray for those men and women you have placed in those very challenging positions, God. I pray that your wisdom, your enablement will be on them as they execute these very challenging jobs. And God, in that spirit, I pray for every single person that has made it here today, and I pray for productivity out of this meeting. It is through Christ our Lord that I pray and believe on these things. Amen. Amen. You may be seated, and I was asked to introduce myself. My name is Eddie Jumba. I am the senior pastor of Dominion Church International, and before I say it, I just would like you to know that for us as a church, we are committed to praying for us as a community, because we know that sometimes we talk about the bigger ideas and we forget that we are actually talking about people. So it is our commitment as a church to place every family and every individual that is here into the able hands of God. And thank you for coming.
Let's give a round of applause to Musumba. Pastor Jumba Edward, thank you very much for ushering us into the presence of God. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all stand up to honor this country called Canada with the Canadian anthem, and then we'll sing the Uganda national anthem, and then we'll sing the East African anthem. The Canadian, thank you. The Ugandan anthem. Let me invite Honorable Sebalu to lead us in the East African anthem. Honorable. The three, oh, sorry, my apologies. Oh, apologies, Madam Speaker. Let's repeat the Ugandan anthem again. Honorable Sebalu, East African Anthem.
Mungu tuombe uirinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tujilinde na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuirinde, tuwajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please have your seats. I will call upon the chairman of the convention to come and give just 3 minutes welcoming remarks. Let's invite John Nalima. Let's give him a round of applause.
It's an honor and my pleasure to welcome you all in Toronto. And I'm very grateful that we are in the presence of the Right Honorable Madam Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda. As the theme of the convention is a bustling new investment frontier, let's use the opportunities that Canada has to offer to make it as our new home. At the same time, let's remember where we come from, Uganda. I welcome you all to this convention, and it is a pleasure that we are all here for this great day. Thank you so much. And at this moment, I'd like to invite the chairman of the Aga Khan Foundation, Toronto, to come and give us a few words. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Right Honorable Madam Speaker Rebecca Kadaga, honorable members of Parliament, distinguished guests and friends, it is a great pleasure on behalf of the Aga Khan Development Network to welcome the Ugandan delegation to Canada. We're delighted to have you here, and you have chosen to have this conference on the Canada Day weekend. So I'm also hopeful that you'll be able to see some Canada Day festivities. And we're welcoming you with unusually warm conditions, so I hope you'll stay cool and remain hydrated. As you know, His Highness the Aga Khan, through the Aga Khan Development Network, has developed partnerships and operates in over 35 different countries, injecting over $3 billion in projects and programs, providing hope and better quality of life. Here in Canada, the Global Centre for Pluralism formally opened its headquarters in Ottawa in 2017. And in 2015, the Aga Khan Museum opened here in Toronto, which I know and hope many of you will be able to visit on Monday after the conference concludes. The Aga Khan Development Network and the Ismaili community have a long and proud history with Uganda. His Highness the Aga Khan and his grandfather before him have been involved in development work in East Africa for over a century. The National Theatre in Kampala is an early example of a cultural development program supported by the present Aga Khan's grandfather, who also founded the Aga Khan Schools, Diamond Trust Bank, Jubilee Insurance, amongst other projects. Since then, the Aga Khan Development Network has worked very closely with the government of Uganda across a range of policy areas and to support social and economic development. Today in Uganda, the development work touches the lives of millions of Ugandans including efforts to ensure access to high-quality education for girls and boys, the Serena Hotels, the Bujagali Power Plant, the media operations of Daily Monitor and NTV, and delivering world-class early childhood development to marginalized populations. We are proud that over 1/3 of all graduate nurses in Uganda came from the AKU School of Nursing and Midwifery. And the Aga Khan Network's operations Uganda include a leather tannery, pharmaceutical manufacturing, and making fishnets. These are some examples of programs designed specifically to support Uganda's National Development Plan. I'm happy to report that some of our important work in Uganda has been supported by the Government of Canada and the individual Canadians, including dedicated members of the Ugandan diaspora in Canada. Most recently, this support has enabled us to ensure access to high-quality pre-primary and primary education for over 150,000 girls and boys in the West Nile region. These activities mean that the Aga Khan Development Network is not only one of the highest taxpayers in Uganda, but helps to set industry standards, create jobs, and develop capacity. We are long-term partners, not short-term investors, working with the government on Uganda's journey to become a stronger economic country in the next few years. As we look to the future, we're very excited about the plans to build a major world-class teaching hospital in Uganda. Our aspiration is that this will be one of the best hospitals in Africa. This is yet another example of how the shared vision of two great leaders, His Excellency President Museveni and His Highness the Aga Khan, can really transform the lives of people. Uganda stands out today for its generosity to refugees, for its tolerance, for the pluralistic outlook of its peoples, and for the government's commitment to improving the quality of life of all its people. These are values we share, and the Aga Khan Development Network and the Ismaili community is proud of its long association with this vision for Uganda and of Uganda. I thank you again for your interest and support. I'm thrilled to welcome you to Toronto and wish you much success in your deliberations and aspirations. It's been really lovely to spend some time this morning to meet many of you, to exchange cards and to create contacts. As I mentioned to the organizers earlier, I'm traveling this afternoon, so I might take your leave soon after this, but you can always contact the Aga Khan Development Network or the Aga Khan Foundation, and we'd be delighted to hear from you. Thank you again, and I wish you well.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Riaz Ahmed. Mr. Riaz Ahmed is the chairperson or chairman of the Aga Khan Foundation Canada. He's also the director of the Aga Khan Museum, where, of course, we'll be visiting later on in the, this day or I think tomorrow, according to the program. All right, so, Madam Speaker, before you came in, we're talking about investment in Canada and citizenship by investment, and we are listening from different speakers. So, as when you came in, Elena Gesselv was giving her presentation on citizenship by investment and the available investment opportunities that Ugandans can tap into. Elena, let me invite you once again to come and make your presentation. Perhaps you can rush the speaker through some of the things that you had earlier on talked about. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give Elena a round of applause.
Thank you, Solomon, and I would like to welcome our honorable guests. And what a moment, saying a prayer. Thank you, Pastor. It's really a blessing to be part of this convention. And I would like also to welcome guests online that joined us today. So, business immigration, and I was talking about Ontario nominee program specifically for businesses. I'll try to make it short and concise, as I'm conscious of other speakers who prepared presentations for you today. So, I talked about the corporate stream, which requires about $5 million investment, at least $5 million investment. And I'll talk to you briefly about the second stream, which is the entrepreneur stream. And that is for individuals who want to implement a new business idea or buy an existing business in Ontario. So the same scenario. It offers entrepreneurs the opportunity to be nominated for permanent residence once their business has been successfully established in Ontario. It is an online system, as I said. It's a scoring system. So those top applicants with most education, business experience, and investment funds that would be eligible. And for the entrepreneur stream, the net worth of the individuals, sorry, I'll just talk about the required investment amount and experience. It's about 3 years, business experience in the last 5 years. The personal investment funds should be minimum equity ownership of 1/3. The nominee must make a minimum personal investment on $1 million if the proposed business idea is in Greater Toronto area. If it's outside, it's half of that. It's $500,000. Okay, and if your proposed idea is in the digital communication or information technology sector, then the required investment would be $500,000. Job creation. At least 2 jobs must be created for Canadians or permanent residents of Canada. And the applicant must make at least 1 business-related business trip to Ontario if you're buying an existing business. What are the key economic sectors in Ontario that the province will be considering? It's aerospace, automotive, chemical and biochemical industry, clean tech, financial services, food and beverage manufacturing. It's important to differentiate with just opening a restaurant. So it's manufacturing, industrial automation and robotics, information technology, IT, life sciences, mining, and tourism. So I would like to just briefly touch on the Quebec Investor Program. I'll skip the British Columbia nominee program. For those of you who are interested in this program, please come and talk to me. I will be outside at Dr. James Lutaya table. And the Quebec Investor Program is currently closed. It will be opening as of August 12th. And currently, the government of Quebec are deciding on revisions to the program. It used to be $800,000 investment, passive investment, and this is the key difference here. The province of Ontario and most other provinces require active management, as I mentioned earlier. Quebec is the only province that's allowed to run a passive type of investment program, okay? So the $800,000 would be allocated by the government, and the key sectors where they assign those investment funds would be business assistance to immigrant investor program and employment integration program for immigrants and visible minorities. It's a 5-year term where the $800,000 would be locked in. However, after the 5 years, the applicant is eligible to receive the amount back without interest. There are financing options available to those applicants that would like to use a financial intermediary, and with about $250,000 payments, you can secure financing. So ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your time. If you have more questions, please talk to me outside. And I would like to pass it on to my colleague, John Green and Salman.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Elena. Canada has a very beautiful way of attracting investors, and one of which is to make you their own citizen if you bring money home. Interesting. You bring $500,000 into the economy, they entice you and say, you're going to be a citizen here. You bring $1 million, Honorable Kadaga, and you become a Canadian. All right, so we have an expert on citizenship by investment, and this is John Green. John Green is also a consultant. John, come and give us what you guys have here. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Honored to be here. Today we're going to be talking about citizenship by investment programs, which are different than residence by investment programs, which Alina touched on. A little bit about Latitude. There's two sides to our business. We're helping private clients, the high net worth to ultra high net worth, obtain a second citizenship or a change of residence through investment-based programs. But we also advise governments on how to establish these programs in the first place. So there's really three types of programs. There's residence by investment, where you invest in a country. In return, you get a residence permit that gives you the right to reside in that country. And eventually, it's a path to citizenship. It's either a passive investment, such as government bonds, or an active investment in a business. The other type of programs are a tax residency program, where you get a tax certificate saying you're a tax resident of this country. And the third are citizenship by investment programs, which I'll be talking about today. So a citizenship by investment program is you make an investment in the country in return for citizenship right away. So, and generally speaking, there's no residence requirements. And so why do people want a second citizenship or dual citizenship? I think earlier Ronnie talked about some people needing a visa to come to Canada. It takes 3 weeks. That's time consuming. We recently helped a client from Venezuela obtain a second citizenship, because there it takes 3 to 4 months just to renew your passport. So mobility is a huge one for our clients seeking a second citizenship. Opens travel to countries previously restricted by time-consuming visas. Security, of course, is the freedom of movement, of owning a second citizenship, and you have an alternative place to go in times of political instability. Also tax planning, stability, retirement, and business are all reasons. So there's really two places in the world, or two regions in the world that offer citizenship by investment programs: the Caribbean and in Europe. So in the Caribbean, you have 5 different programs there: Dominica, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua, Grenada, and St. Lucia. Today we're just going to briefly talk about 2 of those programs, the first one being Grenada. So Grenada, what is so great about the country? Well, it's visa-free travel to 141 countries, which is quite impressive. Some other countries on the other end, I quickly looked up Uganda, it's 64 countries. On the higher end, you have Canada, 185. So Grenada's kind of in the middle there at 141 countries. There's really 2 options, main options in Grenada for acquiring citizenship. You either invest in real estate or you make a contribution to the government. The contribution starts from $150,000 US, whereas the real estate starts from $350,000 US. The application itself, from the time we submit it, takes approximately 3 to 4 months to be approved, and then you are a citizen for life. You have a passport that you can now travel freely on, and of course you could reside in the country as well. And one of the highlights of the Grenada program is it's known as an E2 treaty visa country with the US. So if people want to start a business in the US, they can do so on an E2 treaty or E2 visa. But not all countries have a treaty arrangement with the US. Grenada is one of them, which allows people to then obtain Grenada citizenship and then start a business in the US. It's the only Caribbean program to do so. And when looking at the 2 options, as I mentioned, the donation option for a single applicant, your total investment is about $180,000 US. I shouldn't say investment, it's a one-time payment. Or for a family of 4, it goes up to about $250,000 US. On the real estate side, for a single applicant, your total all-in cost is about $430,000 US for a single applicant versus about $445,000 for a family of 4. We'll briefly touch on St. Kitts and Nevis now in the Caribbean. It's the world's oldest citizenship by investment program. It was established in 1984, and its visa-free access is 151 countries, which makes it a little bit more valuable in terms of visa-free travel. It includes access to the EU with visa-free. its required donation is also from 150,000 US, and it's a bit quicker. It has an accelerated option. It can approve people in as little as 2 months. They also have either a contribution to the government or an investment in real estate. They do have 2 different levels of real estate, either 200,000 or 400,000. And now we'll briefly jump over to the EU. The 2 main programs in the EU are offered by Cyprus and Malta. Cyprus affords visa-free travel to 171 countries. The key to the program, though, is once you are a citizen of Cyprus, you have the right to live and work anywhere in the EU. So this is really about more for the higher net worth clients who want access, global access for their children, their family legacy in the EU. It takes as little as 6 months from the time our clients apply, and it's an investment in real estate is the most popular option in Cyprus. So you invest in real estate from 2 million euros, and that gives you the right to gain citizenship of the country. And now briefly we'll talk about the Malta program. It's visa-free travel to 181 countries, including Canada, the US. So it is a very powerful passport. And again, once a client obtains citizenship in Malta, they have the right to live and work anywhere in the EU. And citizenship is for life, of course, and it can be passed on to future generations. And Malta is a very well-respected and neutral country that is a member of the Commonwealth. And for those who don't know, it's in the Mediterranean Sea, right below the boot of Italy. Malta also has one of the fastest growing economies in the EU, and they have the world's highest due diligence standards when it comes to citizenship programs. Malta's a little bit different than Cyprus, which we talked about is a pure investment in real estate. Will gain citizenship. In Malta, it's more of a hybrid. So there's a large donation or contribution to the government, which is 650,000 euros. So it's quite a bit more expensive. And then there's also a government bond purchase of 150,000. But essentially, it takes you up to about €1 million for the total price for a Malta program. So those are kind of your 2 areas. You have the Caribbean, which is going to be less expensive, but still affords visa-free travel to 140 countries, whereas Europe, the more expensive programs for the higher net worth clients, greater visa-free access, and of course the right of establishment in any EU country. Again, if you do have any questions, please come find me during the breaks, and I will pass it back to Solomon now.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it. It will be interesting to find out what we're doing to attract investors in terms of giving them citizenship. Yeah, I think it's something the speaker has noted. I saw her nodding her head and writing it. So, and I know that there are a number of members of parliament in the House who can go out and move a bill and see how we can attract investors much more. So we'll be listening from Honorable Ruth Kavma later on, who is the acting chairperson of NERA. And she'll tell us more about citizenship and how do we apply and get it. So talking about investments, we have a Ugandan who has been living here for over 30 years, and he's since been given a very big job to do, and that is he's the inspector of schools with the York Catholic District School Board. Dr. Pio, lawyer, is also a columnist. Most of us have read his views in Uganda, and what an honor to invite him this morning to come and tell us the investment opportunities in education and higher education in this country. Let's give him a round of applause. Dr. Pio.
Thank you, Solomon. Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Kadaga, Your Excellency Ambassador Joy Cheng, Honorable Ministers, Honorable Members of Parliament, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Toronto. I'm truly happy to be with you today. Many of you know me as a journalist, in Uganda at least, but actually I am a teacher first. I've been teaching for, well, over 30 years, as Solomon has pointed out. And most of it actually in elementary school, what you would know as primary school. Now you're going to ask yourself, why would somebody with a PhD be teaching little kids? Well, the short answer is because Canada values education so much that it attracts only the very best teachers, teachers with degrees at the elementary level. So if you're going to be a primary teacher, you have to have at least a couple of degrees, a BA and a Bachelor of Education. So that is at the very base. Whether you're teaching kindergarten or you're teaching grade 8 or you're teaching grade 12, it doesn't matter. You have to have at least a couple of degrees. And so I have been very happy working in elementary, teaching little kids. Actually, I started teaching little kids. I still remember, just very quickly, just to tell you, my start. Starting teaching kindergarten kids. These are like 4 years old. And I remember the very first class I walked into as a supply teacher. Now, this is a replacement teacher where the regular teacher is not there. And so the supply teacher comes in and does the work for the day. Anyway, I come into the class, there was no plan, there was nothing, so I began telling stories, stories from back home in Noya, in Noya in northern Uganda. And so the kids became so engrossed in this story, and at some point, they felt the story was so sad, they felt the need to come and hug me. So I had 30 kids piled on top of me, and I could not breathe. And I remember thinking, I could die here. And people wonder, what happened? This African died with a pile of kids on top of him. Anyway, so that was my start. I am the superintendent of school for York Catholic District School Board. And my area, encompasses just north of Toronto, Richmond Hill, Newmarket, Aurora, and so 23 schools in all. And so the question that I've been asked today was to talk about investment in education. But so I'm going to talk about from the perspective of Canada and hopefully see how that might apply in Uganda. Here in Uganda, in Canada, education is very important, as I pointed out. Junior kindergarten to grade 8, that is age 4 to 13. Education is compulsory, starting from age 6. So any parent, once your child reaches age 6, you must register your child. And if you choose to homeschool your child, you must tell the government why and how you're going to do it. Now, a few parents do that, and that's their prerogative, of course. But they have to be able to tell the government their plan. School run on a 10-month cycle from September to June, and then secondary, usually, and university and colleges run on the semester system. Generally 2 semesters, first semester running from September to January, and then the second semester from February to June. We just finished this yesterday, was the last day of school for all of us in elementary and secondary. And that means that for the first time today, I'm feeling a little bit of less weight because I don't have to deal with all the issues originating from school, especially from parents. By the way, a lot of my work involves talking to parents. In Uganda, you send your child to school as a parent, and most often you don't actually, hear from parents. But here, parents call me all the time for all kinds of reasons, They don't like the teacher look at their child funny, all of those things. I have to deal with them as superintendent of school. At the secondary level, students must complete at least 30 credits. 18 of them compulsory in order to graduate with the Ontario Secondary School Diploma. The remaining 12 courses are usually optional. By this time, you can see this is from grade 9 through grade 12. They're getting prepared to go to colleges and university, or in some cases to apprenticeship programs where they have hands-on experience. And this is, by the way, become very, very popular. That instead of just going straight to university, many students are opting to find work, or work programs, curriculum that provide the opportunity to actually have hands-on experience, learn as well as work. And that way they get to get employment, sometimes with the agency that they are interning with. So that has become really, really, really popular. the post-secondary school, just to give you a little bit of idea, at the post-secondary, certainly for universities, between the adults aged 25 to 64, 53% are graduates compared to 32% in the OECD countries. So here in Canada, in that adult age group between 25 and 64, 53% of them are universities. It's just a few hundred meters from here. I invite you to be able to walk force and the quality of the people who are working. So these are two places where you can just walk across and take a look for yourself. The 10 most popular universities, of course, McGill, and by the way, not in any order, because I'm sure that there are many people from different universities here who will dispute who is number one. So I'm not going to say it. I'm just randomly naming them. McGill, University of Toronto, University of British Columbia, University of Alberta, Université de Montréal, McMaster University, University of Waterloo, University of Calgary, Western Ontario, Queen's University, where I went to school. I completed my first degree in political science, and then, of course, my teaching degree. I went to University of Ottawa and York University for my PhD. So, yes. And here are some statistics that I wanted to roll out. Right now, as I speak, there are 1.5 million university students enrolled across Canada, 1.5 million students enrolled in universities across Canada. Between 2008 and 2016, 1.6 million jobs were created for university graduates. In other words, if you were not a university graduate, you're cut out. You're not going to get those jobs. Universities annually spend upward of $35 billion in the business of educating students at that level. And universities employ over 250,000 people who are involved directly in the business of educating people at that level. On average, the salary of a university graduate starts at about $43,000, average, a year, compared to only $23,000 for a high school diploma graduate. Over your lifespan, a university graduate is likely to earn $1.5 million more than someone who did not have a university degree. So which are the degrees that are most in demand? And this is something that those, again, who are in Uganda who are interested in looking at education here in Canada, which are the most programs in demand, degrees in demand. Business administration is very big. Nursing. We are an aging population here in Canada, all right? Almost 40% of Canadians are, between the ages of 45 upwards. That means our population is an inverted pyramid, with a big top and a small little. Canadians are not productive in terms of children. Somehow they're just not producing more children. And this is problematic because as the population ages, the question is who is going to take care of them? All these people who are now reaching a certain age, the baby boomers, these are now. So nursing is very important. In fact, in most cases, as someone graduates with a nursing degree as a registered nurse, they are snapped up. The competition is fierce to get the nurses. So I imagine that there will come probably a time when Canada cannot even produce enough nurses, and at some point, and I don't think that point is far away, where they may have to start looking from elsewhere to see how they can fill those jobs. Because the aging population is upon us now. The age between 65 and up is over, in Ontario alone, you got about almost a couple of millions. So this is big, these are big numbers. Software engineers, civil engineers, geosciences, mineral exploration, pharmacology. Again, this is to do with dispensing of medication. It's big business here, and therefore, there's a lot of demands for those who are graduating from the Department of Pharmacology. Finance, petroleum and chemical engineering, and there is something that Uganda could gain something from. And then, of course, business managers. Briefly, international students. Canada is increasing its share of international students. And I mean by international students, we have seen the gamut from kids who are only 10 years old, being brought into to study here in Canada. Usually when they're that young, you try to find what is called a host family. So, for example, in York Catholic, we have a few host families. Most of these children are coming from Brazil, coming from Korea, coming from Japan. They stay with a host family because they're too young to stay on their own. And so they go to school in elementary school. At the high school level, now they are able to stay on their own in some cases, but still within campus. And we see a few of those. But a number of the students, 400,000 right now as I speak, registered international students who are registered in Canada, in Canadian university mostly. Majority of them come from China, India, South Korea, France, the US. Can you imagine how many universities are out there in the US? But they would rather come and have their education here in Canada. And I suspect part of it is that the Canadian dollar is attractive. This is, again, by the way, in Uganda, people don't know that there is a big difference between the Canadian dollar and the American dollar. For your $1 American, I think you can buy $1.30 Canadian. So in other words, education would be cheaper from the perspective of Ugandan who wants to study here, to study in Canada, than to study in the US. Because for your $1 US, you are able to buy $1.30 Canadian. That's a much better deal. So, so there are many, many students from these places, Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, Japan, Brazil. We are beginning to see a trickle coming from Uganda. And I know that here at the University of Toronto and across Canada, some of them are in Nova Scotia. Yes, we are seeing Ugandan students, and they engage in a variety of different courses. A lot of them tend to be the sciences, business, administration is big. They're there. And hopefully we'll begin to see more. And hopefully, Madam Speaker, that in fact the government of Uganda really work hard to try to put actual money into making sure that Ugandan students can come and enjoy the high standard of Canadian education, and then go back to continue to help develop Uganda as a country. So I think this is something that the government of Uganda needs to put some money to, either in form of scholarship or in form of some kind of partnership with Canadian University. But it needs to be done at that level so that it is not only those who can afford it who will come, but everybody who has the aptitude and the abilities to be able to come and to learn from Canada. I mentioned to Solomon a little bit earlier on the linkages and entrepreneurial opportunities. Certainly, the opportunities to create satellite campuses overseas. This is something that needs to be explored. I mean, when you think of the University of Toronto in terms of geosciences, they need places where they can send their graduates to study. And if there are opportunities to create satellite campuses in Uganda, we should be able to explore those. And emerging with 96 universities across Canada, surely we should be able to find opportunities to create campuses linked to these universities so that some part of the year, the students actually study on their campuses in Uganda as opposed to here. And yet they will still go ahead and earn credits. I think that is feasible. I did talk to Solomon about the IT hub. And I told him about my experience as a consumer here. When my TV breaks down and I phone that 100 number, chances are I'm going to be speaking with a technician somewhere in India or in the Philippines, invariably. Or even my credit card. The other day, somebody stole my credit card and purchased airline tickets with it. So I needed to cancel it, all right? So I made the call, and somebody, very wonderful person, I imagine a beautiful lady from the Philippines, picked up the phone and said, gave me her name. And I explained to her what the problem was. And she said, okay, I need to first find out who you are. Give me your age, your date of birth, and your address, and all of this. And I said, okay, you are Mr. Lawyer. Okay, so what's the problem? my credit card has been stolen, and we went through the process, and then she was able to cancel it and send me a new credit card. All of this is happening somebody who has probably never stepped here in Canada, and they're already serving me. Now, think about this. Uganda has probably one of the highest number of graduates at the university level who do not have work right now. How long would it take to translate this, retrain them in IT, and create an IT hub servicing big businesses here in Canada? Roger Cable, television and cable network, the banks, all of these are looking for opportunities where you have to have a trustworthy workforce outside of Canada that can service your business. So somebody needs to be able to come to Canada and approach the big banks and say, look, I've already trained all of these people who can take calls, who can troubleshoot for you, who can help your clients be able to immediately resolve whatever issue is causing them grief. And we have got that workforce. So when just as Solomon indicated, when I now phone, somebody in Kampala or somebody in Kabale or somebody in Gulu will pick up, because the cable link is now very, very clear. Through satellite and cable system, whether I get service from somebody in Toronto or Kampala, I don't need to know. From a consumer point of view, I just need to be served. And when I pick up that phone, I want to be served now. So if somebody in Kampala can do it, so much the better. And so that opportunity is there. So just to summarize very quickly, there are many opportunities. We have to explore those opportunities in terms of education, but the Canadian education system does offer one of the best in the world, and Canadian graduates, regardless of whether they have a university degree or college degree, or even at the apprenticeship level, they are among the best in the workforce. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. P.O. Lawyer. Interesting stuff. Well, if I had the money, I pray God gives me that money, I would invest in creating a hub. Madam Speaker, it really excited me to hear that someone from the Philippines gives solutions to people whose TVs have problems in Canada. Interesting. And it's just a mere setting up of a hub somewhere and coming here and close a deal. And, imagine if a call came through and it is, a one Nicholas Semuju saying, "Good afternoon, sir. What's the problem with your cable TV?" And, it's interesting. And so those with business perspectives like me have taken that down. I'll be speaking with some people in this house to create something like that. If I have the idea and you have the money, let's tap into that opportunity. The number of investment opportunities that are available for us as Ugandans to tap into. And one of it is the real estate industry. And this is where I'm going to be inviting Geoffrey Semaganda, who is a renowned speaker, mentor, businessman, and philanthropist. He's doing an amazing job. He's a Ugandan. Okay, yeah, dual citizenship. He's a Ugandan, but also he's British. So, but he's been into this game of investing in real estate quite a big and for quite a while. So it's one of those opportunities that I think as a country can tap into. Let's invite Mr. Geoffrey Semaganda to come and speak to us. A round of applause. Let's show him some love, people.
Good morning. Sorry. Good morning. Come on, guys. You see what happens here? They're broadcasting this around the world. And the worst thing we can do is to travel all the way from, I'm from Uganda, but I live in London. And I'm sure some of you flying all the way from Uganda, 20 hours to get here. And we can do better than that. Good morning. All right, I'm Geoffrey Semaganda. As the name sound, I'm in Uganda, from Uganda, speak to Uganda in Buganda. It usually makes sense if I'm speaking to people who are not Ugandans, but when I'm speaking to Ugandans, they say, so what? It is important because one of the things we have to learn to do is to understand that when we leave outside our own countries, the one thing that we have that makes us different is who we are, and be proud of who we are and where we come from. And when I was little, I didn't understand the value of that until one day somebody told me that understand and learning how to tell your story, learning how to sell yourself, is the one thing that will take you everywhere. Now, I'm sitting at the back and I'm listening. I was going to talk to you about something completely different, but I'm changing my talk. And it's not about real estate. I've learned over the years, it's not about real estate, it's not about specific stuff, it's about us. So I'm going to talk to you how to invest in you. I was lucky that I was grew up in a place called Welo. There was a war going on in my country. I was working from the age of 7, moving from part of the country to the other. I was the boy who always volunteered to help. They gave me a list of stuff, go to a place. I used to ride a bike for like 2 hours, buy goods wholesale, bring those goods to our house. We sold them retail. We made a profit. We used the profit to buy food. So I was lucky because I did learn to make a profit when I was 9 years old. Now, if it wasn't the war, maybe I'll be an accountant somewhere. It doesn't mean it's bad to be an accountant. Now, luckily, the war ended somehow. I came to Kampala. I had an uncle in Kampala. I knew he was a mechanic fixing cars. I thought he was a rich guy. I jumped in the truck, came to Kampala. He didn't have his own house. He was sleeping in a small room with a couple kids. He didn't have any place for me to stay, but I told him, don't worry, in Wales, we used to sleep in the bush. So I'm happy to crash anywhere. I joined him to work. We were fixing cars, the age of 11, fixing cars in Bryce. There's a little place called Bryce in Kampala. And, but when I got there, I had him telling his friends that this kid needs to go back to Luwelo. So I'm like, are you kidding me? I came all the way from Luwelo. I'm going back. That's not an option. I'm not going back. So I decided to join him at the garage, starting looking at the kids, what they do. There's so many kids like me. We used to call them the kadogos. I didn't like to stay there, but I knew. My dad told me something when the war was going on. He said to me, always make yourself useful, because useful people always need it. Because he was concerned someday the soldiers would catch me and I could be one of those kids could be killed. But he said to me, if you're useful, you'll be the last one they kill. So when I came to my uncle, I became useful. I joined him at the garage, started fixing cars. But I knew in order for him to let me stay, I had to do more than other kids. So we're just passing on spanners. I got involved in fixing engines. Any Japanese car, I could put it apart and put it together. It took me 2 months. And then one day, the young boy came riding a moped. I asked him, how do you get this moped? He said, I work in the city. He didn't realize I was talking to the wrong kid. I joined him in Kampala, where he was selling cosmetic stuff. I worked for him for like 2 months. And I did learn one thing. He will not let me make more money than he makes, because he made lots of promises that in the end he changed his mind along the way. So I knew I can't go back to the village. This man is not going to let me make more money. The person I wanted to work with to make some money aside, he used that money to take his kid to hospital. So now I can't trust anybody with my money. And then one day I saw people going to London. I'm turning about 14 years old. I raised the money, got myself a passport. In those days, you didn't need a visa. You just got on a plane, came to London. I landed in London. I didn't have a family member. I didn't know anyone else. But luckily for me, my English wasn't great. I didn't have many friends in London, which means that I could not do what other people used to do in London. I had to find a way to find new friends. New friends that were not doing the manual labor jobs. I did try. It didn't work. Now, one day, I was selling stuff in Kampala. In my passport, I put in a businessman. So I was being asked, what can you do? I said, I'm a businessman. I can sell stuff. And I joined the company. I was teaching sales. In that environment, I did learn to get a work permit was much, much harder, but to set up a company was easy. So I was like, okay, to set up a company, you just need to send £10 to the company's house, and the company's house will send you a certificate of incorporation. Now you have a company, then you can employ other people to work for you. Say, yes. But my English is not great. So don't worry, they understand, they speak English, they can work for you. So I said, okay, when do I pay those people? He said, you pay them 30 days later. I said, let me get this. In Kampala, when I worked, I need to see the money before I start the job. Here, you're telling me intelligent, educated, graduate, they can work for me for 30 days without pay, and I pay them later? I say, of course. Say, okay, say if I send these people to go do some sales, they can sell for 10, 20, 30 days, and I pay them later. Yes, so they can work and earn enough money to have it, for me to have enough money to pay them. He said, of course. I set up my first business. And first month, we did 35,000 pounds in sales. We paid commission to those people, about 25,000. I kept more money in my pocket. I was 16 years old, and I was scared because then Ugandans used to tell me, you have that money in the bank, they're going to deport you. And then I'm like, okay, I need to understand this. Now, in that environment of sales, this is why I want to talk to you about this. Environment of sales, there's one thing I did discover. Somebody said that anything you want to do, somebody has already done it. And they've written a book on that, or there's a course somewhere. You live in a country where everything you want to learn is available. I say, okay, thank you for that. So everything I needed to learn, I needed to go to the library and look for a book or go to a seminar, do something. Something, by the way, I encourage you guys to do. You live one of the most advanced economies on the planet, and there's one thing Ugandans don't do. I've been running events and seminars for the last, I'd say 15 years. But I can say that very few of us attend these workshops and seminars. Doctor just said we are all, that he's been teaching for 20 years, 30 years. Each and every one of you, you've been teaching from the day you were born. The question is, you're not aware that you are teaching. Some of us have children, right? The children do what we do, don't they? I do believe today's marketplace of a competitiveness, every single person must understand teaching is marketing. Every one of us must be what? A teacher. But as diaspora, and I know, Solomon, you're going to ask me to move, but I'm going to take 15 more minutes, and it's going to work like this. I'm part of the Ugandan convention in the UK, but I'm so disappointed sometimes that we are not doing the good job of being these markets. Building wealth is like building a house. A house has what you call a foundation. Would you agree? The foundation is who? Is you. So each and every one of you must pick one thing. One thing. If I said I'm going to specialize in water, I need to pick water. And I need to identify the best people who make more money in water in this country, and I want to learn, follow, and be with those people. Read every single book on that particular subject. Connect people on social media who are interested in that. Stay away from people wasting most of your time, and understand that if you become an expert today in that particular subject, and by the way, it takes 1 year. If you read one book on one subject, in 1 year you join the top 10% experts in the world. Let me repeat. If you drive a car, you listen for 1 hour in your car, an audio program, one subject, in 1 year you join the top 1% experts. You should never listen to music if you're not a music producer in your car. You should not join people on social media who don't do what you do, because the investment you do, each and every one of us have the ability to do that. So as a Ugandan, if you're a nurse, specialize in that. If you cook, specialize in that. Because when you do that, you feed your mind with information taking it there, and you take care of your body, because the body is the supporting system of the mind. Sometimes we don't do well purely because we don't feel well. And the final part, understand that God sees the inside of us, but people see the what? The outside. So make sure you represent, the outside represent what's inside of you. The foundation is about you investing in you. If you have not attended a seminar that you paid for in the last 3 months in what you do, you are broke, period. Apart from you come from an environment of wealth individuals around you. But if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. Secondly, the foundation has 5 pillars. The first pillar is teach what you know and make sure you share this with every single person. You should never go back to Uganda, not even to visit, if you're not going to teach what you've learned in this country. Because when you're a nurse here and you learn and you go back home and you share what you've learned here, not only you share what you know with people at home, but also you know the people in the know to find the opportunities in that area. So when you come back, you'll be able to identify what equipment you can go and buy, the same way you buy a car in this country, you can get an equipment, pay monthly, and send it back home, create a job, have an income for yourself, and then you can buy a car. Every single one of you must be an expert. The next pillar, every single one of you must understand we can make friends all around the world. So social media and everything else has to be basically useful. Because I'm pushed for time, I knew this was going to happen. I've created a simple website called actionwealthsystem.com. I put all these 5 pillars there, the actionwealthsystem.com. I have 7 videos for 7 days that allow you to be able to learn each of those pillars that can allow you to be a specialized expert in what you do. Because I don't care where you're coming from, in today's marketplace, you will not be able to survive, you will not be able to compete if you're not specializing in one thing. The third pillar, understand that you're in business. You don't work for anyone else, you work for who? Hello, you work for who? You work for you. If you work for someone else, then you're not going to invest. The reason why employment is dangerous to you, because you're not going to invest in yourself. You will get paid based on the value you bring to the marketplace. So the more valuable you are, the more wealthier you're going to become. So who makes you valuable? You are. Today, some of us are worth $10, others worth $100, others worth $1 million. The value, you put it on yourself. So when you're in business, you understand you get paid based on the value. In this country, Canada, there's so many legal structure, there's so many tax breaks available for you to have access to, but because you're not in business, you'll never know. The fourth pillar is real estate. I hardly ever met anybody successful, financially secure, who never invested in real estate. Why? There'll be more people tomorrow on the planet than there are today. As we speak right now, people out there making babies. I know doctors say the population is aging, but trust me, there will be more people here than there are tomorrow, which means the demand of real estate always going to be there. Property doubles every 10 years, 10 to 20 years. Either buying a house for you or buying a house for who? For someone else. Am I saying you should be an expert in this? Make a decision to learn those pillars. The final one is understand the movers and shakers of tomorrow. You either join them. They say if you can't beat them, you do what? You join them. So understand in the area that you have expertise, you be the one to know where and who to invest to. And the final and the last part, learn to protect what you have. Have you ever been sued before? Anybody ever been sued before in this room? Been sued, taken to court. Okay, I know some of you don't want to raise your hand, but I know some of you have been sued before. They don't sue poor people. Okay, if you have never been sued before, you should be worried. You should be saying, God, they don't sue poor people, but the day you have something of a value, they do it. They're trying to take it away from you. So the first thing you've been investing your time in was make yourself valuable. The first thing you need to ensure is what? Is yourself. Should be gone those days we have to put money together to send our bodies home because you live in the first world economy. You have the ability to protect yourself, to protect your business, to protect your income, and understand that we don't protect our wealth because you're going to take it with us when we die, but because you're going to use it to make a difference in the world. Please remember, go to actionwealth.com. It's a 7 videos that allows you to learn all these pillars, but it's important you get it. And as Ugandans, our responsibility, we came here to learn to take wealth back home. It doesn't matter how much money we send home. The only thing can change our country is what we do what? Investment only comes to countries where people are more informed. All these opportunities we hear, talk about millions of investment. You bring $1 million here, you can be given citizenship here. Listen, we should be taking back home more than just little money we send home. Each and every one of us, you have access to knowledge and expertise and technology and connection to take home millions of dollars. I have a project I'm investing here in Toronto. It's a student's accommodation here, 85 units. Because I have the ability, knowledge, I can network some people. The money is here. We just need to know how to tap into that. But if you're not specialized in one area, you will never know how. You won't have the ability. You'll be putting your thinking low. And as people like us who live here, you should never get involved in anything small. We come too far to live in these fast world economies, and we're thinking at this level. They're depending on us to take home the Canadian game, not to go home and play the Ugandan game, trying to beat Ugandans on their own game. You have to bring the Canadian game, combine the Ugandan game, then you can be able to succeed. Until next time, take care. God bless.
Absolutely powerful. Let's give you another round of applause. When you sit with, you don't want to, like, let me say this. When you sit with Geoffrey, you don't want to stop him. You just keep enjoying to listen from him, learn from him, tap into his resources. He's a powerful man. I wish I would tell you his worth, but he's really worth more than $1 million. Let me say that. He's a big investor. He's into real estate, and he just shared with us some of his wisdom. So I'm here with some T-shirts for our beautiful Kampala. Now, what is on these T-shirts are the landmarks we have in the country. We have the Independence Monument. We have the old Kampala Mosque. We have in different colors. And then also Wi-Fi. We have Wi-Fi if you're in the room. It's your right to have access to the internet. The United Nations resolved that. So we'll be reading out the Wi-Fi details. It's your right. You have a right to internet. It's an interesting world, isn't it? You know? All right, so we're still discussing investment. But listen, we've had it from the other side of the coin. We've had it from the Ugandans in the diaspora. One of the critical questions that many people are asking is, are we entitled to national ideas? You know, it's a project that has been going on, but if you're a Canadian, if you are a British citizen, or you actually have not come back home for a while, are you really, really, really entitled to a national ID? Because it's becoming mandatory. And we are so privileged this morning to be with the NERA acting chairperson, Honorable Ruth Kavma, with us, and she's going to be detailing different issues on this subject. Let's give Ruth a round of applause as she comes. Welcome.
Thank you, Solomon. Good, whatever time it is now, afternoon, morning, evening, whichever time you are tuned in, knowing that our heads are probably in different time zones. Right Honorable Speaker and Ambassador, High Commissioner, one of them. And all of us here, Honorable Members of Parliament, and all of us here, my name is Ruth Mvumeta, please note, Solomon, and I wrote it down, Kavuma. I have an identity, as was mentioned. I come from the Sese Islands in Lake Victoria. I have an identity. I can't be just like everybody else. No. And my responsibility, I'm the acting chairperson of National Identification and Registration Authority Board. My responsibility is basically to, this morning, to encourage those Ugandans who are here and have the Ugandan citizenship only to get themselves a national identity card. The issue is, as NERA, of course, was put in place by law, and that is the main reason why we are here, to create and manage a national and operate a national register, identification register, to register citizens and non-citizens, to register all births and deaths, and that's very, very important, and adoptions, to assign a unique number to each one of us. The people who are living here know about the, what is it called? The SIN. Yeah. Social insurance, okay. Because I also know about SIN. But but ours is called a National Identification Number, a NIN, and each one of us will have a different one. The main reason why we would like to register the births and deaths is when you die with your number and go, so that we all know that that person has actually gone and that number has also gone. And that will also enable us to access different kinds of information because we are registered. If you are a citizen of Canada now, a dual citizen, we can't do it today because the Ministry of Internal Affairs, that is supposed to actually give you a certificate, unless you have one, maybe you visited Uganda during summer or during Christmas time and managed to get a certificate. If you have that certificate of dual citizenship, then you can actually get your, be registered for your ID here now. But if you haven't got that, we've got that department that was not able to come for one reason or another, and that is a hiccup, and on behalf of all of us, I would like to apologize for that. It's not of our making as NIRA, but then they were not able to be here. And we also, of course, we don't only register deaths and births, but we also issue certificates in those lines. You need a recommendation letter from the embassy if you are here, so that the embassy tells us that they know you. You also need to show your Ugandan passport in order for you to be able to register. And I think that basically explains why National Identification Authority came here, to try and bring services nearer to those of us who are here, who are able to do that. And I hope that we will be able to register as many as possible. There's a gentleman seated out there, and I came with the director registration. Brigadier Seven Queen Injira. And if there are any very, very serious questions, please do get to them. Mine is to just tell you about the general policy. We are registering everybody, and also send messages home for those who have not registered. It is important. We will find, I don't have to explain to you about this identification number. Those of you who are living in Canada, you know you have to go to the hospital. Somehow that number has to pop up to show that you are you. You have to get children into school, it has to pop up. And I think even on the train, I was almost asked what my number is when I produced my card to come here. So I almost got asked everything that can be about myself, but the question was my number first, and then they can deal with me. So I think we really need to make sure that we also send a message back home that even at home, that's where we are heading to. And it is important that we register ourselves. Thank you, Solomon.
Ma'am, I'm first of all sorry for messing with your identity. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for speaking to us. There's a table. NIRA set up a table outside. So you should be able to, if you have any questions, you should pass by their stall and, you know, find out more about your national ID registration. All right, so amidst us, we have one of our biggest sponsors, and that is Centenary Bank. Centenary Bank, thank you so much for investing in this event today. Let's give them a round of applause. And amidst us, we have Fabian Cassi, who is the Managing Director, Diaspora Accounts. CEO, sorry, I got that wrong. Sorry, CEO. Thank you so much for coming. We want to invite you to come and tell us more about it. Meanwhile, I would also want to let you know that Francis Xavier Sentamu, who is the district governor, Rotary, to also stand by. He will be speaking to us later on. But if you have Wi-Fi, I wanted to give you the passcode. If you have a pen, you can write it down and be able to say that. It's TD062018. Again, TD062018. And you can log into the internet. Welcome, Fabian.
Thank you very much. All protocol observed. Good morning, everybody. I'm here to tell a very small story about a bank whose mission is to provide financial services, especially microfinance services, to all Ugandans in accordance with the law. This is a bank. Of course, I was a bit disturbed that the T-shirt that was presented didn't have the landmark of Mapera House along Kampala Road, which was one of the key landmarks. And that is the headquarters of this bank. This bank has been around for over 30 years, currently serving a quarter of all Ugandans that are dealing with banks. Over 1.5 million people in Uganda bank with this bank. It has the biggest branch network, over 70 branches, and of course, currently serving over 200,000 families that have borrowed from this country, currently to the tune of 1.4 trillion Uganda shillings, which is about 500 billion US dollars, having mobilized over 2.1 trillion Uganda shillings in form of deposits, which is about 800 billion US dollars, with a balance sheet of close to 3 trillion Uganda shillings, which is about 1 billion US dollars. That is the strength of the balance sheet of this bank. I'm here to talk to you specifically about savings, and savings especially for our brothers and sisters that are in the diaspora. As you make your money, as you do whatever you are doing, it is important that you do savings. And this is a facility that has been enabled by this bank, availing to you an account that is called a diaspora account. This is an account that is free of charge. This is an account that you can use to transfer money anytime using either word remit, and we're in discussion with other people that can help to connect your account and directly you can transfer money. This is a bank that enables you to use your phone using the Sente mobile platform that we introduced for you to be able to manage your account from wherever you are. You can also use internet banking. Talking about footprint, you can send money to Koboko, your relatives in Bwera, your relatives in Bundibujo, from the comfort of wherever you are seated, and you'll have your money safely, received or reach your account. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to deliver the account opening forms because they are still stuck at the customs, but I'm told they will be here by the end of this day, and you'll be able to open accounts and be able to enjoy the services and the convenience of this account. There is a dedicated relationship manager. Again, when you look through this book, you'll see the details and all the contacts are in there. I'm still around. I'm the managing director of this bank. And if there are any questions that you want to raise, I'll be in a position to answer them. I want to thank the organizers and all of you who have turned up this morning to this function. Thank you. At the boat, as I said, we have the account opening forms. Somebody will be around to ensure that if you want to open an account, if you want to connect your account to your phone using Center Mobile, all that will be enabled. Thank you.
Fabian Cassi, ladies and gentlemen, Managing Director, Centenary Bank, speaking to us about the diaspora account. All right, so we have a lot of interesting conversations that we'll be having. Later on, I'll be opening up the floor to hear from you and to get your thoughts about what you think about the different presenters and what they have made. It's unfortunate that the people who were supposed to come and be here with us from Bank of Uganda didn't make it today, but we have a consultant who is going to be speaking to us about the products that Bank of Uganda has, and that is Simon Rutega, and how we can be able to tap into those opportunities. Simon Rutega, you're welcome. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Solomon. Right Honorable Speaker, Ambassador, Honorable Members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Simon Rutega. I am here to speak about a project called the Financial Markets Development Project that started last year, supported by the Central Bank and all the key stakeholders in the financial sector in Uganda. And the project is supposed to pursue reforms that will enable our financial sector to become more progressive and competitive. Now, part of our agenda includes the diaspora. The project is very serious with implementation, but with regards to the diaspora, there are three critical issues. One, the fact that we do have capital flows coming into the country, which are now about $1.2 billion. And our concern is that most of that is spent on consumption, and how can we ensure that some of it becomes part of the investment as opposed to consumption. And the second is going to be providing technology to enable interface with the financial instruments that we have, and the other one is skills transfer. So very quickly on the investment side, we have already have initiatives to have interface with investment in treasury bills and treasury bonds, so that soon you can be able to invest directly from here or wherever you are in Uganda treasury bills and Uganda treasury bonds. So that is work in progress. The second is we are connecting mobile money to investment in treasury bills and treasury bonds. So if you have money on your phone, whether you're in Uganda or you're here, you can, instead of earning 0%, you can have that money working for you in treasury bills and bonds, and you can sell those bills and bonds anytime you need the money. So that's another initiative that is work in progress. The other initiative we have is once we gauge the appetite, because we need all the database, we know that there are about 700,000 Ugandans in the diaspora, maybe about 50,000 in North America. Once we gauge the appetite, we are going to look at the opportunity of issuing a diaspora instrument. So if the diaspora is interested in, if we're interested in raising money, we can issue a diaspora bond and invest those resources in specific projects. We have done some research with the diaspora, and they are interested in specific projects. For example, how do we support a hospital in our in a certain region in Uganda? How do we support a hydropower project? And there are countries which raise money from the diaspora. Nigeria last year raised, I think, $120 million from the diaspora for specific projects. But we are not going to go there until we now gauge this appetite, but that is the vision that we have, so that we are able to have investment through financial instruments. The same applies for housing. As opposed to giving, your friends or brothers and sisters money to build houses for you, we want to create a framework where you can invest in a standardized facility that provides standardized housing. So, for example, that institution will say we're going to have 1,000 units of standard housing XYZ, and you know where your money is going, and you're sure that you're going to obtain that objective. So this project is serious on implementation. We are doing all sorts of things in other sectors apart from the diaspora, but I just wanted to inform you on the initiatives we're taking in the diaspora. The project is supported by the central bank, and the bank, I think, has even supported you here with this conference. So we look forward to an extremely productive partnership going forward. And thank you very much for the organization. I hope I have been brief, but precise. Thank you.
Simon, before you go, one of the things that we talked about at the Uganda Diaspora Conference last year was the aspect of Bank of Uganda coming and making the treasury bills and bonds more, attractive so that people can, well, Bank of Uganda made a statement that then they said that the most secure investment, you bring your money and you're sure it will come out. When are the treasury bills and bonds being open to the people in the diaspora? It's been working.
Okay. Maybe let me explain how the treasury bills and bonds work. Okay. The government, or any government, raises money by issuing treasury bills or treasury bonds. Usually the treasury bills are short-term, and they're usually used for liquidity management. Then the treasury bonds are from 1 year. So you have treasury bills of 91 days, 182 days, 270 days, 365 days. And each month, the central bank, the banks auction these treasury bills to raise money, and they pay you an interest rate. Now, in the case of Uganda, the minimum investment in a treasury bill is 100,000 shillings. So if you have 100,000 shillings, you can invest in these treasury bills through your commercial banks or directly through the central bank by opening what you call a central depository account. So anybody can invest in 100,000 shillings, and the treasury bills will pay the rate of interest. So the shorter the treasury bills, the lower the interest. So for 91 days, you may find now they're paying maybe 9%, 182, maybe 10%. So the further you go with the risk, the more the paper will pay. So that exists today for Ugandans. What needs to be done and what we're doing is to make the process, to simplify the process. Because before, you had to fill a form, you had to walk to Bank of Uganda, sometimes you have to go to your commercial bank. So the way we want to ensure the process is, becomes more efficient is that if you have a mobile, if you have your phone, and you have about 1 million shillings sitting there, earning nothing, because today I think we've found that there's about 500 billion shillings sitting on mobile phones, earning 0%. This money is kept in escrow accounts in commercial banks. So if I had money on my mobile phone, earning 0, why can't I invest it in a treasury bill, earn 9% until I need my money? So if I invest on the 1st of June and I need my money in August, at least I've made I've earned some interest on my money, and I'm able to sell when I need that money. So those are some of the initiatives that are going to take place in the country. Now, we also want to open it up to you in the diaspora. So the diaspora, what we're working on is the interface. When you're sitting on your computer, you can actually invest through your commercial bank, and that investment goes to the central bank. So those are some of the initiatives that we are working on. Now, the diaspora bond is the one where if, let's say, you have a $50 million project, you want to build a small hydropower project in Jinja, and I've said Jinja because I know the honorable speaker is here. If you want to build a small power project in Jinja, for example, and you need $50 million, the diaspora can invest in treasury bonds in dollars, which can build that project, which is going to sell power and pay back, okay? The diaspora will do it for the rate of return, but they also have a sentimental attachment. So they are not going to be interested in rates of 15, 20, 30%. They can do it for 10%, just to feel that when they go home, they show that they have a project which is working, but also they have received some income. So I hope that makes it more interesting
Thank you. Let's give Simon Rutege a round of applause. Robert Katende came to the limelight when the Queen of Katwe movie was, it came up. It was a big, big movie, most of us. How many of us watched the Queen of Katwe? Madam Speaker, did you watch the Queen of Katwe? Part of it. The Queen of Katwe is about a girl who comes from a very humble background and then plays chess, wins, and makes it to the global, championships. And behind this girl was someone who picked interest in her. He invested in this girl and other players from the slums and grew them to become people who are very responsible in society. With just support and believing in these young people, very many of these children's lives have been transformed. And to him, investing in the youth is a worthwhile investment. Ladies and gentlemen, let's join hands and we welcome Robert Katende. Robert.
Thank you very much, Solomon. The Right Honorable Speaker, Madam Rebecca Kadaga, all the honorable members in the House and distinguished guests, good afternoon. My name is Robert Katende, commonly known as Coach Robert. And I know we are talking about investing. As Solomon put it, I personally believe in investing in the youth. I grew up as an orphan, struggling in the slums of Nakulavye with my grandmom. If it was not God's favor, which I call miraculously making it all the way to the university through sports that supported me in my secondary education, working so hard day and night to see if I can have a merit scholarship for the university, which I managed to attain through Chambogo. And having graduated as a civil engineer, I decided to step back and see how I can be of support to the rest of the young ones craving for an opportunity and they can't see any. I used a simple tool as a chessboard to try to awaken the sleeping genius in each of them. I started with a bunch of kids who are literally regarded as street kids, and I chose to name them pioneers because I saw they had a journey they were starting to live. That was way back in 2004. And through this simple and humble beginning, it has been able to grow. The initiative has grown to this year, as I can really celebrate that we have been able to impact over 1,600 children, and we have spread in the whole country. We have programs established in Jinja in the east. We have programs established in Kagadi and the Kanungu in the west, as well as Gulu in the north. And with this simple chessboard I started with, miraculously, the program was identified through the ESPN magazine, and it was even able to earn Uganda some revenue when Disney decided to make a movie about the impacting stories of these young ones, who I right now celebrate that I know most people, when they watch the movie, they know Fiona Mutesi, because she was one of the key characters. And another kid called Benjamin, I right now say they have been able to break through the vicious cycle of poverty that they have been in for generations as their families, that they are now studying from the US in Northwest University. And because I use chess for social impact and the character development, they are also wonderful leaders. As last year when they started in the university, they were able to establish chess in the university for the first time. And Fiona is the president Benjamin, all from the slums of Katwe, is the vice president. They started teaching their fellow students, including even their professors, how to play chess. And in December, they were able to represent their university in Ohio. And for the first time, they emerged champions in the state. I know I would have been here with Fiona right now, but as I speak right now, she's playing her last qualifiers to be able to take the Ugandan team to Georgia in September for the world competitions. Those who watched the movie also remember the girl called Gloria. That's the girl who even cried the first time I took her to Voodoo to play chess because they had captured her queen. This year, I managed to slot her in the world, and she's finishing the qualifiers in the 3rd position. She's making it also on the national team this year. She's only 17 years. So there is a lot to celebrate, and I just want to add, I know the government has tried its level best to definitely empower the youth. You all know that Uganda is one of the countries with the youngest population, and unless we really wake up and do something with the young ones, with the youth, we are going nowhere. Yes, the few who have the opportunity, they will definitely thrive, but the greatest percentage will definitely indulge in other criminal acts if we do not wake up as private and maybe civil sectors to try to reach out to the young ones and see how best we can empower them. If you can't do it directly, you can even do it indirectly by supporting initiatives. Through the Robert Katenda initiative, I've been able to really reach out to the people who I would say they are underserved. 4 years back, I used chess as a neutralizer to start a chess program for the physically challenged youth. I actually deliberately chose not to call it a disabled chess program, but I instead called it a chess program for the differently abled. Simply because they all play the game, but they don't play as the able-bodied individuals. I have some of the children play and move the pieces using their mouth. One of them uses the feet. And there are others who are even unable to even hold the chess piece, that they need an assistant to come and assist. They just tell you what to move for them, and then you're able to execute the move on the board. As I speak right now, 2 of these young boys are going to be representing Uganda in the World Junior Disabled Chess in the US in September. Actually, it is going to be in August this year. They were before more like outcasts. Right now, they're a national resource, and they go holding the national flag. They had never even imagined in any way in their lifetime to compete favorably with able-bodied individuals on the chessboard. And as I speak right now, last weekend, Uganda registered the first ever disabled chess team in the top national league, and they are playing, competing favorably with the able-bodied teams. I would like to stop here and just make a call for the members in the diaspora. As we try to invest in other businesses, let us also try to invest in our fellow human beings, those who don't stand a chance to make it, so that they can also be a benefit to our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know, when you go down, he believed in people. He believed, think of a civil engineer going back to the grassroots, going to the slums. I mean, when he said civil engineer, I asked Ronnie, civil engineer? And then he goes back and changes lives, believes in people, and I'm sure the academy is growing, and still gives back to people. So you can invest in him to invest in the young people. It's an opportunity for you to give back to where you come from. Yeah, the people in the diaspora, I'm speaking to you. Change someone's life to be like you. Invest in him to touch the lives of other people going out there. Ladies and gentlemen, My name is Solomon Serwanja. I'm a news anchor with NBS television and reporter. I come from the media background. When I came here and I heard that there's a Ugandan who is operating a television station on Canadian soil. Yeah, that's how I felt. Wow. I was happy. I was actually very happy. Among us is Mr. Moses Mawa. Mr. Moses Mawa is the founder, president, and CEO of Silver Trust Media and the Afro Global Television. And also he runs the Transformation Institute. I'm very proud of Mr. Moses Mawa, Ugandan running a TV station in Canada. Moses, come and share with us. Let's give him a round of applause.
Honorable Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda, Her Excellency, the High Commissioner of Uganda to Canada, the Consul General of Uganda to Canada, based in Vancouver, the organizers of this truly wonderful convention, and ladies and gentlemen. I am truly delighted to be here with you all to share ideas about moving Uganda forward, and of course, moving the Ugandan diaspora forward as well. You would actually recognize that Ugandans are incredibly hardworking people, very progressive, very interested in their own individual progress, but quite importantly also committed to collective progress as well. And I would like to take this opportunity to especially really thank the organizers of this conference, because putting together a function of this nature is not an easy feat. And especially if you're a visionary who has intended to put something together that will bring everyone together, regardless of where they come from in Uganda, regardless of where they live in Canada, regardless of where they live in the world, to come together in order to pursue a common purpose that is really about individual progress and then collective success as well. So please let's give a round of applause to everyone who was involved with organizing this particular function. I would like to speak to you about the power of the media in advancing development in Africa, and of course, advancing the diaspora as well. My focus is going to be on my own personal story, my vision, my mission, and the values that I espouse, which are incredibly important to me, and the results of what I've been able to achieve along with my team speak to the importance of these particular elements. I basically come from Adjumani, which is in northern Uganda. It's a small place. The people speak a language called Madi. And I came to Canada in 1994, and I settled in Ottawa, which is the national capital region of this great nation. I pursued a degree in film studies, got a BA in that, and then attended the Canadian Screen Training Center, and a number of other things as well, secure technical sort of training, and so many other things that have actually helped to propel me forward. When I actually came to this country, I noticed that on television, anything about Africa was presented in a very negative way. And that was the reason why I decided to actually pursue a career and business in the media. So I set up Silver Trust Communications, also known as Silver Trust Media. And its main goal was actually to project the very best of humanity and, of course, people of African descent and so much more. And then in the year 2000, I met a very beautiful lady who had actually just come from Nigeria. Eventually, long story short, we fell in love, got married. But before that could actually happen, we actually formulated a very strong vision to project the best of Africa and the diaspora, to inspire especially the younger generation to do better with their lives, and so much more. So I would like to recognize the presence of Patricia Baby Amawa, my wonderful wife, who is over there. And she's actually the Executive Vice President of Silver Trust Media. And eventually, we also set up the Transformation Institute for Leadership and Innovation, which basically does a number of other things that I'm going to speak to in just a moment as well. I would like to actually say that, you know, Ugandans have a very interesting spirit. And that spirit is of hard work, of resilience, of so many things. We've gone through all kinds of wars and endured all manners of challenges or difficulties, and we have triumphed. And that spirit of harmony and unity has actually brought us together. Even in this room, when you actually look around, particularly from the beginning and even up to now, you recognize that we are incredibly diverse. You have people of you know, Indian descent, indigenous African, and so many others as well. And we really need to keep it that way, which I think is incredibly significant. We got involved with establishing Planet Africa Group, which has now been rebranded as Afro Global Corporation. And within that, we are involved with publishing, television broadcasting, online media, and special events. So presently, if you do not know, we actually run the Excellence Awards Gala. It is the finest event of its kind. We've brought to Canada Yvonne Chaka Chaka from South Africa, Wole Soyinka from Nigeria, and so many others to be recognized on a world stage right here in Toronto. And our main mantra is really to recognize people who pursue excellence in their endeavors and that sort of thing. And eventually, we actually set up the Transformation Institute, which has begun to do things in the mainstream Canadian society to recognize people of various backgrounds as well in regards to success and that sort of thing. Aside from these key points that I've actually been able to share, I want to encourage everyone to really focus on doing things with that spirit of excellence and to always innovate. A number of years ago, I had actually traveled to Uganda, and almost every member of parliament was carrying a BlackBerry. But because of the fact that that company did not focus much on innovation, Samsung and the iPhone eventually beat BlackBerry because they did not innovate enough. So for us, whatever it is that we are doing, you know, whether you are a school teacher, whether you are a doctor or a realtor or anything, consider advancing yourself, to educate yourself, to move yourself forward. And one of the things that was incredibly humbling for us was when in 2013, we got a phone call from CNN in Atlanta to say that they were coming to Toronto specifically to do a story on our organization. It was incredible because I had not even seen CNN come to Canada to interview the Prime Minister of Canada or to interview anybody at all. But they came specifically to interview me, my wife, and to do a story on us. That actually led to a half-hour, 30-minute television special that was broadcast worldwide. And they actually went to our television studio. They went to our home up in Richmond Hill. They followed us everywhere with our children and so on to tell this unique, improbable African story. So I just want to therefore say that no matter what you do, you got to actually really focus on the very best. And so at this point, I just wanted to mention that we basically publish Excellence magazine, and we have copies outside. This magazine is really the finest of its kind, advancing the very best of Africa and the global diaspora as well. And on the back of it, you will see information about our TV channel, Afro Global Television Network. Presently, it's on Rogers Cable. It's on Bell 5. And we are right now negotiating a contract with TELUS, to have it there as well. And we have it as well on Eastlink. If you visit our website, afroglobaltelevision.com, you'll be able to see programming trailers and some other things as well. This is our most recent edition. It's available free, so if you go to our booth outside, you'll be able to get it. This is our Black Panther edition. I always say that Wakanda is Uganda. So if you want to actually come to, want to go to Wakanda, you should actually go to Uganda and you'll experience true amazing things, as well. And the next thing I just wanted actually to mention is that we launched actually our Envision publication, and copies are available outside as well. And this is actually really the best of Canadian success stories that are told through the magazine. And next, I want to also mention that we do have our 150 Extraordinary Canadians book project. Everyone from Bryan Adams to Celine Dion to so many others are here. But I'm also pleased to let you know that we have a number of Ugandans in the book. Bharat Masrani, who is actually the CEO of TD Bank, I think the second largest bank in Canada, he happens to be from Uganda as well. Some of you may not actually know this, but it's an incredible story. We have Nanji Piarelli, we have so many others. So you should get a copy. This one is not free. Almost everything else outside is free, but this one is just $30. But it's going to be a fantastic investment, so I suggest that you take one. I would also encourage our Speaker of the Parliament perhaps to consider taking a few boxes so that every member of Parliament in Uganda should have a copy. I think that would be really good, and so we'll work out a deal for that. And lastly, I just want to add that there is so much that we need to do in order to be able to advance the nation forward. And I want to leave you with about 4 key principles. Number 1, let's focus on the spirit of excellence. Number 2, as the media, we need to continue to advance the importance of telling the truth and the truth only. There is so much radio cutaway, fake news and all that. Even though the radio cutaway or news that is told in the grapevine and so on, the way we've told it actually back home is quite different, not the way it is actually presently today. The next one is, of course, resilience and education. And finally, I want to add that ownership is important. So let's invest in ourselves, let's invest in our youth, let's invest in all of the things that matter. And most importantly, like our brother from the UK actually explained and stated in his message, let's invest in ourselves so that we can actually do better and advance ourselves efficiently. So visit our booth and we'll be glad to autograph a book for you and so much more. Asante sana.
Asante sana. Thank you. Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, when they mentioned Wakanda was from Uganda, I saw her turning like, what is he even talking about? So if you know Wakanda, let's do the Wakanda sign. Wakanda. Madam Speaker, Wakanda is a movie, is a place in a movie called The Black Panther. You should watch it. You should watch it. Get time off your busy schedule and put in Black Panther. It's an interesting story. Actually, it goes down to the map of Uganda. If you see, that's why I agree that Wakanda is in Uganda. It goes to the map of Uganda. And it's an interesting one, actually, Madam Speaker. You should be able to, watch it. It's inspiring. I'm pulling your leg, Madam Speaker, but the message has been sent home. All right, so amongst us, we have the Honorary Council of Uganda to Canada in Vancouver, John Halani. Let's give him a round of applause. John, come and greet people. Come and say a few things and greet the audience here. As he comes, John is also the CEO of Tropicana Hotel in Vancouver. Welcome. Come and say hello to people. Just a second. He's a Ugandan. I don't want to add Indian. He's a Ugandan. Yes.
Thank you for asking me to come on the stage. I'm born and raised in Masaka, Uganda. I don't know how many people have been there. And since I've been appointed consul in '96, I've done a lot of work in Uganda. I've done about 10 to 12 projects in Uganda. It's ongoing, last 12, 15 years. And one of them is we have been sending students from Douglas College. They go there and they teach. They go there for the practicum and teach, live within the community in Masaka area. There's another group that does Shanti Uganda, that works in Luero near Kampala, and they do birth attendance for all the women. I took doctors in '98, 6 gynecologists. I took 11 doctors to Uganda in 2005, and the first project was maternal mortality. The second project was infant mortality. And like this, there have been so many projects that I've done, and I hope I can get your support to increase my activities to help Uganda, because it does need help. When we left in '70s, the population of Uganda was about 15 million. Now it's over 30 million. So you can see the infrastructure that needs upgrades, that needs support, and more in health and education. And that's where I'm concentrating. So thank you for asking me to come and speak to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, John. When are you coming back to Masaka? Okay, we'll be looking forward to you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a lot of hard work to put this together. Sleepless nights, sacrifices, huge investments to make sure that we are all here sharing with one another. Let me invite Ronnie Mayanja to come and really appreciate our sponsors for this event this morning. Ronnie.
Thank you so much, Solomon. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give Solomon Seranja a round of applause for a job well done. He's not been feeling too good. Once we got him from the airport off the plane, he was complaining of a little bit of some pain, and I need a good doctor to actually check him out, because I thought it could have been a blood clot or something, because it's a long flight. So Solomon, thank you so much for coming as a celebrated journalist, anchor. He has won numerous awards in Uganda. He's the gentleman on the back cover of our magazine. So thank you for making the trip to be a part of this event. Ladies and gentlemen, my role before the speaker comes to speak, and also the ambassador to welcome the speaker to formally open this event, is to thank the team with which we've worked. I would like to start by recognizing Mr. John Nalima. John, why don't you stand up for recognition? When I had the idea, I reached out to John and said, John, can we do this? Because Canada is virgin. We've never had a convention on this side. We did one, and thank God he's also here, with Mr. Justus Mirembe. It was the first. Justus, please stand up. It was in the city of Vancouver in British Columbia, together with Mr. John Halani. It's taken us from 2012 to do this. And this is only the second, Madam Speaker. And I would like to, in a special way, thank John. John risked. He's a very powerful executive here in the city of Toronto. He has a busy schedule, but we needed someone with whom we could be able to do this in a stable financial environment without sort of, going into many details. I thank you so much. I thank your wife for having lent you to us to do this up to this point in time. I would like to also, in a special way, recognize the committee. Many times you might have seen us, myself, because I was co-chairing this and also coordinating this with John, but there's been a committee. And there are people here who have helped us put the nitty-gritties in the back end. Mr. Luasa, Richard Luasa, please wave for the people to recognize you. It's very, very important that you know that these are the people that have done this. Mr. Hamza is the one in charge of the boat where we're going to be this evening. He's not here. Miss Sarah Nagawa, she's doing the dinner tomorrow, so those you'll see them tomorrow. Zinc Chinene is another person who has done a lot. Mr. Innocent Karohanga has also been part of this committee. Miss Brenda Nakato, if someone could ask Brenda and Solomon to come and wave to the people here for recognition. It's very important that we celebrate our people, especially the people who put in the time, the sleepless nights to make such events happen. It's been a lot of hard work. For the first time, because I'm an event planner and I do this well, I panicked because we were not starting on time. And when I've had a chance to moderate debates and, done the presidential debates that I've been part of in Uganda, everything has to be scripted and on time. Ladies and gentlemen, the ladies in the back are Maureen, Brenda, and Salome. Salome, thank you so much. I know the main event is tomorrow, but some of the people showing up for the breakfast will not be there tomorrow. We appreciate everything you've done. You're the unsung heroes, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Mr. Luyombia, are you somewhere? Please stand up. And then, of course, we have Maureen, Aiko, and all the other team members. If I leave you out, please find it in your heart to forgive me, because we're trying to rush this program along to allow for the speaker to say something, to prepare for the boat cruise and all the other programs. We thank and recognize people like Mr. Daniel Kauma, one of the leaders of our community back in the USA and here in Canada. Please stand up as well for recognition. There is also Mr. Mande Atigo, who sent me his regrets. He forgot his passport and he couldn't cross the border. So for some strange reason, he told me he was not going to be able to make it. But Mr. Mande Atigo also reached out to me. Just to let you know, let's pray for UNA, by the way. Uganda North America Association, I'm hoping, Madam Speaker, you can mediate and try to make sure that some of these organizations are united again. To the UNA we know. But do you guys want us to do this again? Because if you want us to do it again, before John tells me he's not on board next year or something like that, I need to hear it from, is this a good idea? Did you enjoy the quality of the speakers? Did you enjoy the immigration to Canada? Because I loved what those people were saying. I don't have the deep pockets, but I might look for an investor to come and invest some resources and maybe move to Canada, because I enjoyed the citizenship by investment very much. It was my highlight. I thank Geoffrey Semaganda for coming all the way from UK. He moderates the UK convention. I thank my newfound friend, Moses Mawa, and your wife. Ladies and gentlemen, the magazine you saw was produced by their printing press. Again, we recognize you, and especially Patricia. I apologize for the messages, like, where's the magazine and all that. But anyway, the bottom line is that I wanted to thank everybody, but most especially the sponsors that have made it happen. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank you so much. Rennie, James, and your team in Uganda, they support us, especially when I reach out to them. Through you again, Parliament of Uganda was able to sponsor us to the tune of $5,000, which has gone towards helping us to offset the cost of this hotel. We thank you so much. We hope you can do more, because we need the help. Putting up an event of this magnitude costs us at least $50,000. And between you and me, we had to put this money down, me and John, to make this happen. We would like to also thank Bank of Uganda. They came through for us. Arnold, his passport was held in Dar es Salaam. Of course, I mentioned to you earlier that this time compared to Vancouver, we had more people get visas, but then we've had a lot more people whose visas are stuck in Dar es Salaam. And for some reason, the good news is that I was in communication with the immigration department, and they were telling me who are the priority people you want. And some of the most crucial people were not able to get their passports out on time because it was going into Canada Day weekend, and a lot of the embassy staff in Dar es Salaam are already on vacation. So that is why they told us next time, plan early so we can get this thing going if we're to do it again. I don't know if we will, but if we have the resources and the time, we will. Then, of course, Centenary Bank, we thank you. Gumax, I know that Mr. Kalisa had wanted to say something. Mr. Kalisa, I will give you a chance to talk tomorrow about the Gumax product, but in the interest of time, we wanted to thank and also to appreciate everybody who came all the way. We know that the Rotaractors were here for a convention that took place. We thank you so much for having done what you did for us. In a special way, I thank Mr. Alan Watson, Diaspora TV, for streaming this live. Ladies and gentlemen, this is live. It's also going to be rebroadcast on NBS because of the conflicting schedule and the time they had in Uganda. We couldn't have it the way they wanted, but they're going to have the extracts rebroadcasted in Uganda, courtesy of Mr. Solomon Seranja. I would like to thank and recognize in a special way the CEO, Mr. Kin Kalisa, who is a personal friend and with whom I've enjoyed working thus far. So I don't know whether, John, I've left out anybody, but Madam Ambassador, thank you so much. Thank you and your staff. Joy, we've been in touch with Joy at the embassy in Ottawa. Thank you for your support. We would like you to come more on board so we can support us. We felt this time we were a little overwhelmed by pay your tickets, it's only $50. The ladies at the entrance have the tickets. Please get yourself one. The Sunset Cruise is amazing. We have Eddie Away performing, we have Irene Namubiru and a host of other performers. But for me, this was the real important part of the expo, because when I explained to the people in Canada, some of them were like thinking entertainment. We want to bring value addition. I managed to get people like Robert Katende to fly in. You know, we had to buy a ticket for Robert to be here because I wanted people to know that there are people who have made a difference in people's lives. And a movie has been a result. When I sit home with my kids at home, I watch Netflix. When I see Robert and I can call Robert a friend, and in my TV in America is able to broadcast across all those households, it's an opportunity I can't mention. Madam Speaker, I reached out to Uganda Tourism Board and I wanted Robert to become an ambassador because of the people he speaks to. He's been invited to homes like Bill Gates and Melinda Gates. He has a trip he didn't mention to you, but the Go campaign is flying him to South Africa to promote a lot of other projects. But Uganda is not anywhere in the picture. I reached out to Uganda Tourism Board, but for some reason, our own are never welcome. And I don't want to bash anybody. Uganda Tourism Board should have been here. We wrote to them. Uganda Wildlife Authority should have been here. We wrote to them. They told us there is no money. And Uganda Investment Authority should have been here, but they're not here. So we get frustrated as diaspora when we try to promote the country and we don't get the traction we need. We are left with bills, but we're Ugandans at heart. And then at the end of the day, we are not politics, we are not political, we are Ugandans, and that is what we wanted you guys to know we are about. The reason we did this is to promote our country. Mr. Alani, when I wrote to him, he owns the Tropicana Hotel in Vancouver, he said he would come, he's here. What are we doing to tap into people like him? What are we doing to tap into people like Mr. Moses Mawa with the power and the resources of the media that he has? The embassy could be using a lot more to promote Uganda's tourism on their channel. They advertised our event. So all I'm saying, let's support our own. James, please stand up. James helps Ugandans who want to migrate to Canada. These are people who, he helped us a lot get so many Ugandans visas for this event. People don't know that some of these people are available to you for whatever you need. I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm not here to bash the organizations in Uganda. They were politely indicative of the fact that there is no money for some of these projects. But I think, Madam Speaker, as a diaspora desk was created, again with your help in Parliament of Uganda, and as we worked with you, and I was also part of the team that worked with the president to force through dual citizenship in Seattle when I was still a board member for UNA, I think there is a lot we can do to manage and also to sort of work together with the Ugandan diaspora to make this happen. So this was the second one. The first was in Vancouver. John, I don't know whether we're doing this again, given how heavy it has been financially on us. But if you believe in this, encourage the team so we can do this next year. Do I have an amen to that? So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. And Solomon, you did a wonderful job. Please invite our ambassador to invite the speaker so we can wrap this. Thank you.
The only person who didn't thank himself is him. Let's give him a round of applause. Ronnie, thank you. Thank you very, very much. Again, it's a good job you guys are doing to bring us all together. Thank you very much, John. Thank you, Ronnie, and the entire team behind the scenes for making this happen. And I'm sure one of the people who have been behind this is the ambassador herself. She must have given you a blessing. You know, let's give her a round of applause. And speaking of the ambassador, let me invite Joy Ruth Acheng, the High Commissioner, who will give us a few words and then invite the Speaker of Parliament of Uganda, Right Honorable Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga.
Thank you, Solomon. The Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament of Uganda, Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, members of Parliament present here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joy Acheng Ruth, Uganda High Commissioner to Canada. I'm based in Ottawa. I would like to start by thanking the organizers of this Trade Expo, with great thanks to people whom I was in touch with, Mr. Mayanja and John and your team. Thank you very much for the great and wonderful work you've done. I want to encourage you that it is not easy to start. This is the first of its kind, but we've listened, we've understood, and we appreciate the great faces you brought to this event that are transforming people's lives. We've talked about opportunities in Uganda, and yet we are to talk more. Investment opportunities in Canada and elsewhere in the world. It is really a great job you've done. When you do that, you're even making my work as an ambassador easier, because we are no longer in diplomacy as it used to, whining and dining. We are now in commercial diplomacy, which you making our work easier or my work easy. So with the challenges that you've talked about, I think next time, if we put our heads and our efforts together, it will become lighter. I want to encourage you to continue with this kind of expo. Thank you very much, everybody who have come to grace this occasion. I would therefore like to take this opportunity to welcome the Right Honorable Madam Speaker to come and speak to you and open this important occasion, Uganda Canadian Trade Expo. Madam, you're most welcome. And thank you very much for taking time and coming.
Sit down. Thank you very much, High Commissioner, honourable members of Parliament, the Honourable Consul, and all those who are here today. It's such a pleasure to see you. Let me begin by introducing my delegation. I've come with a few members of Parliament. Honourable Ramuricha, the very short man there, he represents Ntoroko. The Honourable Stella Kiza represents the of Chegegwa. Toro, Honourable John Bagole, he's from Luuka, the land of Jambera Jene. The Honourable Makmot Oto, who used to be a resident in Toronto, he's from Chwa. Honourable Elijah Okupa, he represents Kasilo. And we have MP Emeritus, Mr. Sebalu, Honorable Sebalu. Another MP Emeritus, Honorable Ruth Mvumeta Kavuma of the Islands. We also have a number of people from Parliament, and I want to really thank the Uganda-Canada team for this activity. I think I want to begin by responding briefly to the issues raised about how to organize this convention. Sometime last year, I had a discussion with the president about the need to support all the diaspora activities of the Ugandans. So we had asked that they give us a schedule, an annual schedule of how they are going to run. Because when I go to South Africa, they call me and say, you know, we have got this, but we need support wherever I go. So I think we need to do it more formally so that we know your dates and plan. So that because I know we support UNA, but UNA is there, but there are all these other small ones, Chichi, and so on. And all the diaspora, last year I had to go to the Nordics to support them. Now I'm here with the Canadians. So I think we need to work harder to ensure that we formalize, streamline, and support, because they are all doing a good job. Now, I want also to acknowledge the wealth of information we have received in this meeting, and especially the opportunities that are available. I just want to say that having listened to what is being said here, I think we still, as Ugandans, we still need to do more to attract investments. I was scratching my head to find the real attractive something, a sweetener. I didn't find it. Because if you compare to citizenship by investment, citizenship by, residence and so on, I think we have concentrated more on tax holiday, etc. But when you're competing with people who are saying, come, we give you citizenship, I think we need to do a bit more. So I go back with that, and I know that members are listening. I think when we have our next debates on these issues, let us see how we can improve. Because I think what we have is that if you invest $100,000, you get an investment license. But that is all. There's no other sweetener. So I think we need a sweetener to improve on the investments. I want to thank, where else he gone? Ah, Oloya, there he is. I was telling him that he was supposed to come and we ran at 6 o'clock in the morning, but he didn't come. Normally when we go for UNA, okay. When we go for UNA, he normally runs with me at 6 o'clock, wherever we are. So I'm glad that he's here, and his dear wife. I want to appreciate your comments on education, and to say that early childhood education, I think, has not been given this necessary focus. But in the last 4 or 5 years, I now see a few swings and seesaw at the schools. But I think your type of engagement is something we need to look at better. For instance, I was thinking about my constituency. When I have these meetings of the teachers, sometimes I ask the women, have the men shifted from this village? Because you find the women there attending the meeting. Their husbands are not there. So what happened to the men? Have they moved? No, they say they have not moved, but they're in the town. So he was talking about the need for parents to monitor what their children are doing. So this is an area I think, again, we need to improve. Interestingly, many times our parents are very interesting. Part of the time they are reporting to the president about the teachers, asking them to bring food. Then they report, they are waiting for the president. I have something very important to say. Hey, Your Excellency, but the emere is for your children. So I think we need to engage better with the parents so that they know their responsibilities. But when I was thinking about that, I asked myself, the woman in my village, the ordinary woman in my village, when does she have time to actually go and discuss the progress of her child with the teacher? She's busy, she's collecting water, she's collecting firewood, she's cooking, she's washing, she's looking for all kinds of things. So she's busy from morning until 6 o'clock. So I think it's our responsibility to ensure that we lighten the burden of this woman. If she can do her work quickly by 1 o'clock, serve the lunch, then she can go for a meeting. She can go and find out what's happened to the children. But otherwise, she's so engaged in work that she doesn't actually have time. And where is the man? He's the town, playing Ludo, Mweso. Yes, in the brewery. Yes, they are in sports betting. So I think we need to do a lot more to bring back people to their responsibilities. I want to welcome the opportunities for partnership for Ugandan institutions. All these universities have opportunities. I think, again, we need to focus more and identify our niche. Fortunately, he has given us the areas which are trending in this country. So I think that colleagues, members of parliament, we should address that issue when we go back home, when the sitting commences. I just want to report that on the 15th of June, we commissioned the Kampala-Entebbe Express Highway. Finally. It's going to be a toll road, but the minister said she's going to bring a law so that we can discuss it and then agree. But in the you can use it now, but you don't pay, so you'll start paying later. But at least it's there. I also want to report that the second bridge on the Nile is also almost complete. What is not complete is the Jinja-Entebbe Express Highway. It hasn't started, but I hope that it will be done soon so that we can move easily to the east. But I also want to report that there's been considerable infrastructure development right from Katuna up to Oraba. And the oil roads are in progress. So quite a bit is going on infrastructure to ease the movement. The standard gauge railway is late. We talked about it when we were at the UNA. But I know that on the Kenya side, the Nairobi-Malaba sector will soon be done. I do hope by the time it is done, our Uganda sector will also be done so it can ease the movement of goods and services. We're also in the process of reestablishing the national airline. I hope that will also help in what we are doing. At the strategic level, we are part of the COMESA, part of the East African community, and recently our leaders signed the Continental Free Trade Area, which will take the whole of the continent. I do hope that it will ease our movements, and I hope it can touch the issue of passports and right of access, because there are still, within ourselves, even on the continent, there are still countries where you really have to struggle to get a visa to go to those countries. So all those need to be handled. There are some incentives in the free zones and the industrial parks, a 5-year or 10-year holiday, depending on what you have invested in. But as I said, our proposals now really pale compared to what we had this morning. I think the Minister of Finance will have to step up his proposals, and I hope that the members will work along those lines and advise on what else can be done. I'm happy that the NIRA team is here, so that if you have questions and issues that need to be handled, they will be done. Otherwise, there's still opportunities in agriculture. We're still an agricultural country, but I think we would want to do more value addition. I know that I met one group there who said they want products from Uganda. Let's discuss and see whether we can do serious commercial farming. But value addition is very, very important so that we also graduate from that sector. Would like to encourage manufacturing industries in many areas, especially based on our agriculture, so that can create a value chain. So the opportunities are there. Tourism is picking up. I want to interest you in investing in the Emin Pasha site in West Nile, the Nyero Rocks. I want to, by the Namugongo, the Martyrs celebrations is becoming a very, very big thing. I think this year, June 3rd, we must have had over 5 million people during just that weekend visiting the Anglican and Catholic shrines. There's work is ongoing for the Munyonyo Muslim shrine. So all these are opportunities. I wanted also to remind you about the Huntington site in Chando, in Mayuge, Gozaga site in Bugonza, and Murumba site in Chevando, also in Mayuge. These and many other opportunities are available, and I want to invite you to work as to come in as tour operators. There's ecotourism, many other things going on, and we can further develop these products. The mining industry remains largely undeveloped, and it is a matter of worry to me because the players we see are mainly not Ugandans. I'd have nothing against people who are not Ugandans investing in that sector, but I don't want us to be spectators. I don't want us to be spectators. We are a country with a lot of minerals, including my village in Mburamuti. So we would want to encourage you to invest in exploration because that's where the other people beat us because they have money to do exploration and development. It's an expensive project, but I want us to be able to participate in it so that we can improve on our issues of employment and value addition. We have done quite a bit on rural electrification. I think we are 22% coverage. When we had the election, I think, 4, but now it's gone to 22%. So electrification is moving much faster. So we are looking at solar energy, wind and geothermal energy, etc. So you can also invest in that sector by establishing factories that will be producing transformers, poles, etc. That's another area which has not been heavily canvassed. Education remains a good area for us. You really can't go wrong because people of Uganda must study, but I would want to encourage that we put a bit more on vocational training and skilling so that our people are more marketable. I would now want to thank, I've been meeting Semaganda, but I didn't know his story. We meet in the meetings, we laugh, then we go away. But it's really very touching. A young boy of 16 taking his life into his hands, getting on a plane, going to a land of white people. Really, congratulations. And it's something we need to emulate. I've also seen innovations out there. One of those, is it Order Uganda? It says I can sit in my village in Kamuli, sit on my balcony in the hotel, and they ask for airtime. And they send it. I can tell him the umeme is about to cut off my power and send money for those services. So thank you so much for all those innovations. You are making our people's lives much easier. But really, the innovation, I think Ugandans are really up there. Really, congratulations. Now, I hope that when we meet next time, we shall review what we have discussed today and see what points we've taken up. And so I don't know whether do we have a rapporteur for this meeting or this Serwanja is just here dancing around. Do we actually have a rapporteur? I hope that we do. Last, when we talked about developing a portal, but it seems we have not quite followed up on that one. So I think we need to develop a portal through which we can connect services. And the idea of a hub, I was very attracted. Maybe next year I'll report that I have a hub. I was very attracted by what was said here, creating a technology hub. We have been talking about it since 2001, but somehow it's not quite picking up. So maybe we need to put in a new gear now from the private sector. We also talked on Wainuna about that's for investment vehicle, but you people, Bank of Uganda, you know, each year we meet and you're talking the same thing. Really, every year we meet, it's the same thing. You're in the process, but I don't see you moving. I don't see, there's one sitting here. There's one sitting here. So I hope next time we meet in September, you'll be reporting real progress, not just ideas. I also want to thank the organizers for pushing this thing forward. But again, as we said, let us have a clear channel for communication. What is missing here is really the central government. I think that it was necessary to have the central government here, but anyway, we shall pass on the message. Of course, we have our High Commissioner here. I want to encourage you to work with her so that we can plan for the next Expo. Otherwise, I really want to thank you so much. It's been a pleasure meeting all of you and listening to what you have to offer and what you need from us. So I now officially open the Diaspora Uganda-Canada Expo of 2018 and look forward to many, many more in the years to come. Thank you very much and have a good meeting.
Let's give the speaker another round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, having the speaker here is a very big opportunity. Madam Speaker, I know your schedule. I know how busy you are. I know how your schedules are. It's an honor to have you. Thank you once again. Let me ask you again. Let's give the speaker another round of applause. Thank you all for coming, but I want to invite the chairperson of the convention, John Nalima, to officially close this session. John.
Thanks, everyone. And once again, welcome to Toronto. It's been such an honor. Sure, Madam Speaker.
Now, the representative of the Aga Khan has left, but I just wanted, on behalf of the people of Uganda, to say thank you to His Highness the Aga Khan for the support, for the commitment. He has done so much in Uganda. And because of that, in October last year, he was given the highest honor of the land, the most excellent order of the Pearl of Africa, Grand Master. It's only awarded to heads of state. So really want to thank him. And quite by coincidence, I was coming on the flight, I was reading the New African. And whose face do I see? His Highness the Aga Khan. His life, his work, his mission. It's just wonderful. So really want to congratulate the Somalia community and the Aga Khan for the work done all over the world. Please let him know that we thank him.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Once again, I would like to thank each one of you who's been able to make it here today. I think we've had a very successful function. Following what Madam Speaker said, the Aga Khan Foundation has offered us a tour of the museum. It's an extremely exclusive museum. There is a VIP tour between 10 in the morning to 12, and it's open to all of us who've been here. Please pass by the museum. Finally, please, thank you so much, and we hope to see you again in Toronto in 2019. We're going to come back. Finally, we've done a lot of talking. Tonight, let's do some entertainment. We're going to be sailing off on Lake Ontario, on the Empress. It's going to be an awesome cruise. Those who haven't had your tickets yet, we have some ladies outside there. The ticket is only $50. And we're setting off at 6, boarding at 7, returning at midnight. Tomorrow, we'll have an interdenominational service. It's going to be within another hall called the City Hall. It's just down the hallway. It's starting at 10. Please, let's be there on time. The service will be led by Pastor Jumba and Pastor Kiria. Then from there, we'll have a picnic at the Center Island, meet and greet in the barbecue. We come back in the evening. We're going to go for our finale dinner. It's going to be served in this room. It's going to be arranged differently for that day. Please, let's keep time again, 6 p.m. Let's all be here.
So ladies and gentlemen, again, we need to have the national anthems, a stanza for the East African, the Ugandan anthem, and the Canadian to officially close this session as the guest of honor departs the hall. So once again, let's allow our Mr. Kalunji. Are you ready? So the national anthem. And then after that, I've been advised by Honorable Okupa, we shall have a photo opportunity, an official one in this background with all the guests and Madam Speaker. So let's officially wrap this up. I've also been advised by Brenda, one of our colleagues, that the tickets for tomorrow's event are outside. That will be an event that if you use the Eventbrite to pay for, you'll be scanned in. If you don't have a tag, get a tag, lest you get embarrassed when you come. We have all the entertainers, all the people that you probably haven't seen here will be. Most of the majority of our attendees are going to be at the dinner tomorrow. So the tickets are at the entrance. So ladies and gentlemen, let's officially close this with the national anthems, and then we'll have the photo opportunity here with the speaker for those who have attended and trekked all the way. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Kalunji. All right, we need 4 seats here. If some ushers can help us for the, I don't know whether Madam Speaker, they want a photo op, courtesy of Parliament of Uganda, to set up everything. So once again, we are done for this session. Again, the Aga Khan Foundation.
You are my stamina daddy. You are my stamina daddy. Stamina daddy. What's up all I sing a fest in a body. You are my stamina daddy. So Navina Venino Livio. Yes, oh Navina Venino the only
Ira tuchingale Chino tuchingale Ira tuchingale
Take 'em style, take 'em style, take 'em style. Little bit, take 'em style, take 'em style. What? Tiana. Kuno mwana bola tabula, ze tabula nenoka. Nenoka na nyera netamwa balala. Kamuo.
Oh, well it is something about the city. Well it is something about the city. Well it is something about the city. Yachi chakula.
Mimi na wewe tusine babiri kutama tubiddemu bye tazina kululi kutama go wasabye kutaleko out chaka tutusayimiridde nga scout baby mimi na wewe
Familia, got a love for you Woman, I'm in a ganyo yo Got a love for you Everything I want, I'm in love for you
Aliwa, abana bakatonda kati muje mutiro Batujerega nga gospel music abo kati muje mutiro
Your TV channels, the home of Uganda's best local content. Access all your favorite channels anytime, anywhere. Looking for something to watch or listen to? We've got you covered. We've got lots of new arrivals for you on yourtvchannels.com. Stay updated with local news and newspapers. Events are now just a click away. The free Your TV app is available on Android and iOS. My phone, my TV. Your phone, your TV. Your TV channels, the home of Uganda's best local content. Access all your favorite channels anytime, anywhere. Looking for something to watch or listen to? We've got you covered.